morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture. See how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Y'all, is it me? Are Jay-Z and Diddy as close as we think? Are they? We're going to explore it a little bit here. Y'all hit that like button. And if you like what you see, subscribe. Let's get into this. Listen, uh, I think I had mentioned this probably when all of this stuff went on, and particularly when Tony Busby filed that lawsuit against Jay-Z, and people were talking about, well, birds of a feather flock together, and we think that Jay-Z and them, they're so close, they're friends, they go to parties, they do all of this stuff, yada yada yada. And I had asked the question then, are they as close as people say they are? Or is that just Hollywood? You know how you'll see actors be together and they'll say, oh, we're friends, we talk to each other, da 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 this, and one actor will mention that, oh, we are best friends, yada yada yada, and the other actor will be like, oh, we're together. And then when you start talking to other people, you start finding out that these folks aren't as close as they perceived or said that they were. And so we're going to explore that. Y'all, let me share my screen. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. And we're getting this information really from a interesting party. An interesting party. So you see it here. It says Joe Tacopina reveals that Jay-Z and Diddy's strained relationship. Now, if we're not familiar with who Joe Tacopina is, he was A$AP Rocky's attorney. He was the one that was quite instrumental in A$AP Rocky being released, being found not guilty. Him and his team were quite instrumental in that. And so we want to kind of go over this article. I want to go over this article and what he said, because it is quite interesting to see that. And I think it's very interesting for us as the public to understand that even though we have to get in our minds and get into our heads that what we see in regards to celebrities getting together and partying together and all of those stuff, they're not as best friends as we think they are. They are very opportunistic. They do all these types of things. And we have to understand that a lot of their public perception is PR, public relations. So shout out to their public relations teams that can put out the information, or to be able to suppress information that you start finding out who these people actually are. And so that's where it gets really important. There's nothing wrong with liking someone's work, their music, all those different things. There's nothing wrong with liking those things. But it's also understanding that just because they sing great love songs doesn't mean that they are great lovers. Just because they sing or they rap about being gangsters doesn't mean that they are gangsters. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand that it is the entertainment business, and these people are here to entertain us. So let's get into this article really quick. I want to review this. Let's see. I just want to see if I can make it bigger, but it doesn't look like it's making itself bigger. All right. So it says here, this is a written article by the Tribune, and it was written by it's not saying who it was written by, but it was written on February 26th, so it must be staff writers. So that's who we're going to give credit to, and I'll put the source of this in my description box. It says, Attorney Joe Tacopina reveals Jay-Z and Diddy's strained relationship. It says Jay-Z and Diddy don't see eye to eye, according to Joe, who declined to represent Diddy in his legal battle. That is interesting. So he was called by Diddy at one point to represent him in this case. It says, High-profile attorney Joe Tacopino has revealed that Jay-Z and Diddy are not as close as the public might think. During a recent Breakfast Club interview, Tacopino discussed why he declined representing Diddy amid the Bad Boys founder's federal indictment on sex trafficking and racketeering. And he basically said, and again, he is the lawyer that represented A$AP Rocky, and stated that he had strong ties to Roc Nation as one key to turning down the case. He says, I represent Roc Nation. I'm very close with Jay and Desiree Perez. Now, we have heard that Desiree Perez has a sordid and seeded past, and I'm wondering, did he represent her during that? The lawyer suggested that Jay-Z and Diddy's relationship is more distant than many assume. He says that they don't see eye to eye, adding that while the two have been pictured together at events, their connection has been very overstated. Uh, Tacopino criticizes Diddy's legal team for making public statements later that backfired, referencing the incident where they falsely claimed Costco's sold baby oil lotion in bulk. No one buys 1,000 bottles of baby oil, he says, noting that Costco later denied selling the product. So I wanted to kind of go over that, and that's going to be just the basis of this talking point today. Again, we have to be very careful about calling, unless these artists say that they are friends, you have to really look at them as saying that they're having basically a work relationship. You know, they're at parties, there are all these other stuff. Now, I know a lot of people have just pretty much given that the fact that if you were at a Diddy party, that you were at a freak off. And that's not necessarily true. Remember, this is the industry, and the industry holds big parties and things like that. Because remember, I've told you there was the party, and that's the party where everybody probably went to. Now, from that party, there's the after party. And from the after party is where everybody was getting their information in regards to who was going to be able to attend the freak offs. And in this after party, if y'all was going to get back and do a little stuff like that, y'all were going to do that, because the party probably had the public cameras. The after party probably had a little private cameras. You knew that you possibly would be recorded, but you could go to other places. Meeting up at the hotel lobby and then going up into the hotel room, then you were known to be part of those freak offs. And I will tell you just like this. Those people were, and hear my words, and I'm using this because I don't have an explanation to say anything. They were pretty much highly vetted. So in other words, they figured out that these people were either down for it, or they figured that these people were at the after party, that they had drugged them enough to be down for it. Uh, so these people were they were looked at, they were groomed. Some of those people were groomed. Some of those people were willing participants. And let's not try to act like they were not. There were some people who were willing participants, and then there were some people who, after a certain amount of alcohol and after a certain amount of other mind altering drugs, they were into it. They were groomed into it. So all I can say is the fact that you may see a lot of people that have been at these parties, but that doesn't mean that they were at the freak offs. And I think that is very important to distinguish, because you will see a whole bunch of folks. You know, we love to say, oh, this person was here and this person was there, and that means that they were in the no, because as we see, there is a select few who were in these particular parties. And plus the fact, you got to have people in those parties at the moment where, if they were quote unquote groomed to be in the party, they're not going to say anything because they have too much to lose. And if they're participants and they're willing participants, they're not going to say anything because, again, they don't want their freakiness and all that other stuff put out there for the streets. So it is interesting to note that even though that these two people were businessmen, they were black men, they were in the entertainment business, they had recording careers, they have all these things that parallel. They were friendly with each other, but I don't think that they were each other's confidants. I don't think that they were anything. I think that they had a level of respect for each other because of the fact that how far they've gotten in the business and what they have done. But I don't think they were in a situation where they were best friends and they were going to parties with their children together. I don't think it's any those types of things. And that always gets me back to us using words correctly and properly, and giving caveats if we're going to use the word to be able to describe something that something different, like I did earlier. I we got to get back to understanding the difference between family, friends, and associates, because most of us are associates. We're not best friends. We are associates. And then we have work colleagues, different levels of that. We need to get into the habit of saying words as they are. Uh, all of this terminology about, oh, that's my wife, but you're not married. You have no legal paperwork to show that you're married. You need to stop using that word. That's my husband. You need to stop using those words, because unless you are legally married and had a wedding ceremony, you are not married. That's your man. That's your boyfriend. That's your woman. That's your girlfriend. None of this wifey or anything. Use words. Use words to figure out, to delineate who you are, and stop trying to make it seem like you're more than what it is. Know that there's different levels to this whole thing. You're dating, you're courting, you're engaged, and you're married. Those are the 4 steps. Courting involves a longer term relationship. So I'm in a long term relationship, if you want to use that word. But that's what it is. You're courting. After a few years of courting, and if you hadn't been engaged or married, you need to figure out what you need to do. Stop wasting these folks. Stop wasting each other's time. But anyway, I didn't mean to get into the relationship part of it. I just wanted to use those as examples of making sure we're using the proper terminology to describe who and what we are to each other. And stop trying to overstate things or make things appear differently in what they are, because you don't want to feel. Because if you feel a level of embarrassment from being a long-term girlfriend, then stop being a long-term girlfriend. Just stop. That's just it. Just stop. All right, people. Jay-Z and according to Joe Tacopino, Jay-Z and Diddy are business associates, but they're not best friends. They are friendly to each other, but they're not best friends, and so they're not as close as we think. They're not sitting here going to each other's children's parties or anything like that. I don't think that they're doing any of that, and so we have to stop getting into the fact that this birds of a feather stuff. Now, does Jay-Z have some questionable associates? Mm-hmm. He does. He's got some questionable associates. Does Diddy have questionable associates? Oh yeah. But Diddy has also questionable behaviors that we need to talk about. We haven't been shown or have been proven to see that Jay-Z has questionable behaviors, but we have seen video evidence to show that Diddy has some questionable behaviors, and he's going to have to answer to those in May. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Is it me? Are Jay-Z as close as we think? Nah, I don't think so. All right, people, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.